So I'm here with Victoria. Victoria, thank you so much for
Hi.
being here today. What
Thank you for
brings you
having
to
me.
Pride?
Well, I'm tabling right now. I'm part of a artist collective, and this is like our third or fourth year right now where we've been tabling and doing that. And yeah, being involved with Capital Pride. I'm not a volunteer or anything, but we've gone to all their events, like the block parties, the prides. Salem's cool for having a pride in September, unlike other people. So yeah, right now I was just taking a break from my stand, just exploring around, because you get pretty stuck at your table and you don't get to see the whole event.
I know what you mean. And because I'm live, I don't know if I'll be able to this time around, but
Yeah.
at the same time. So how'd you get started with an art collective? Because those are the coolest things ever.
Sure, sure. So the art collective is actually a really interesting story. So we make zines in particular, and zines, for those of you who aren't familiar, I find lots of people who don't know what it is. We're still a little underground. Zines are these self-published booklets, publications that people, especially minorities and people who haven't had access to the publishing world, make, and they share. And anybody with a printer can come and make them, and you can put art, writing, anything really, and we have all sorts of stuff there. But our art collective was started because I'm not the founder. I'm one of our main members, but our founder is this person by the name of Frankie, and Frankie founded this because they built these stands, and where they could put their zines in, and they asked people around all over downtown. They said, "Hey, could I put these little stands in the front of your business? I want to put my zines there so people can grab them." And they were popular, but Frankie was the only one stocking them. They would make these educational zines. That was the kind of their thing, and so they would put them out there, and people would grab them, but nobody ever added anything to them. And at one point, I was making zines, and I started adding to this zine stand because one of the owners at Blast Off Vintage, Pete actually, he was like, "Oh, you should add your stuff," and so I added there. And Frankie reached out to me and was like, "Oh my God, somebody finally! I've been doing this for years and nobody's ever added to it." And then after that, it's only ever grown. We've started doing these meetups. We started having people add to the stands, and now we've found it. We chose a name, and yeah, now we've grown quite a lot.
I love that.
Yeah,
And one of the things, because I think I had somebody from your collective on a little bit earlier,
yeah.
and one of the things we were talking about was just how welcoming that place is.
No,
And how it doesn't matter who you are, if you come through that door, you're going to be welcome with open arms.
no, it's true. I think I think that's one thing with the ethos of zines in particular, as opposed to other things in the publishing industry, because it's by outsiders, oftentimes for outsiders. You have to be welcoming, because if you're not welcoming, this is where the buck stops. Like, there's nothing else after us.
Yeah.
We're for the outsiders, and because even if zines become super mainstream and everybody loves them, which I doubt, because there's some frankly weird materials out there, but if it ever were to become mainstream, it would still be outsider art because of the way it's made. Because anybody can do it. There's no hurdles. The only hurdles, of course, is whether you can afford to print something, and that can be expensive in a large term. But even then, one single zine, 5 cents, 10 cents. You fold it, you can share it with a friend, and they can share it, and it still gets around. You know. So
And how important are spaces of acceptance for people, like you said, on the outside?
look at Pride. We are the outsiders, being that we're a queer community, and if we didn't come together, we'd all just be isolated, thinking we're alone. And because there are so few of us, it's easy for, the majority culture to pick on us, to bully us. And if you look at the legislation that's happening on a larger federal scale, or sometimes even in our own state, it's so easy for them to attack us. But if we're together, we're stronger. And so and it gives people hope. The world doesn't have to be so isolating. It doesn't have to be so lonely. And for as weird as people can think they are, there's always somebody who's just as weird as you that you can find.
Yeah. Everybody has a little bit of something weird in them.
If you're being honest with
If you're being
yourself.
honest, yeah, 100%. Yeah, because one of the things I've been talking to a lot of people today about the importance of pride and the importance of acceptance is having people who are allies come as well.
Yeah, it's important.
Because everybody needs to realize that we are a community. There is no us versus them.
Yeah.
We are together in this community. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. We are in this community.
Yeah.
And we need to focus our support on supporting everybody in this community. And when I see acts of hate and acts of violence, it burns my boil because just how much effort it takes to have that way of thinking.
Yeah. I think it's hard. Sometimes it can be hard to support a community, and sometimes it can be hard to love. But it's even harder to hate. It's even harder to tear stuff down. But sometimes people do that, and I don't understand it. I spend a lot of time thinking about it because it's not my world. It's not how I operate. But it's something I have to deal with on a daily basis. And so I try to understand the psychology, but maybe it's not complex. Maybe it is simple. Maybe it's just easy. Maybe it's just easy to hate, you know? Maybe it's just people are scared. They don't want to question their reality. They don't want to. I don't know.
That's a good point, though. Like, because the more I think about it, the more I think about like the whole concept of that mirror, right? And if you're not willing to take that mirror to yourself and acknowledge where you're at, it makes it easier to hate.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe if you take some time for self-reflection and just sort of asking yourself sort of where you belong and like what you're doing on this planet, it starts to change the conversation to helping each other as opposed to dividing each other.
I think self-reflection for a lot of people is very scary. Nobody wants to be othered. Nobody wants to be the outsider. And I think a lot of queer people, when you come out of the closet, that's something you have to accept, where you're like, oh, I'm not part of the majority, or, I'm not, I'm the other now. And that's a very difficult realization for people. And so I think that people are afraid to self-reflect because they're like, if I self-reflect and I figure out something that doesn't belong to this, of what I'm supposed to be, of what everybody thinks I ought to be, then I'll be isolated and I can't handle that. But of course it's not true. Look at Pride. Look at our community right now. You're not isolated. It's just different.
Yeah. And it's so important to find a community. You know, I'm autistic myself.
Me too.
And that first time I was in a support group with other autistic people, and I realized that I wasn't the only one whose brain worked that way.
Yeah.
It just changed my life overnight. Because I finally realized, oh, wow, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
You go from being a bad neurotypical to a good neurodivergent.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or a normal neurodivergent, for whatever that means.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you spend so long thinking you're just a bad version of what everyone else is doing, when in actuality you're just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you believe that internal dialogue, because society would tell you you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Society tells you there's something wrong with you if you have a disability.
It's true.
But in the reality, like, there's nothing wrong with you. You're still human.
Yeah.
You just happen to have a disability.
Yeah, it's true.
And that should not get in the way of your ability to succeed and thrive in life.
No, it shouldn't, and it's a shame that it does, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the things that, for instance, with the disability community, the things that are hurdles are often societal. Not always. Sometimes, of course, there are physical disabilities or things that make it harder. But if society were to accommodate everybody's differences, whether it be queerness, neurodiversity, disability, then we would find that everybody could perform their best. You know, and we would find that society would improve as a whole and everybody would benefit from it. But of course, that's not how it is. But I don't think it has to be like the way it is now. And I hope it isn't always like that. That's the dream.
You and me both. Like, I keep there are equal moments where I'm hopeful, and then you see some things in the news and you see some things that happen and you're like equally disgusted and disheartened.
Hope is not easy. Hope is the thing with
Yeah.
feathers, to quote Emily Dickinson. It's the thing that, you have to hold on to, even though it looks very bleak, and it looks like hope would never stand a chance in a place like that. That's the thing, is you just have to keep on hoping that things get better and put in the work. Wishing never changes a damn thing, right? You also have to work.
Yeah.
But the wishes
Yeah.
work where it all
Yeah.
starts.
I appreciate that, right? Because, like, even with an event like this, right?
Yeah,
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
for sure.
Like, a lot of work. It's not like we just show up here and then we just have a fun event.
No.
Right? No, there's a lot of planning, there's a lot of coordinating, there's a lot of people moving, there's all kinds of things that go into an event like this. And I bring this up because that's why it's so important that people in the community come and support events like this.
It's true. It's very important.
Like, it's not mutually exclusive. They kind of, like, go hand in hand, if you will.
Yeah.
And do you find, like, with the zines and, like, the art part of it, because one of the things that I appreciate about that whole sort of idea, is it growing as sort of a network of places where you're putting out your zines and sort of...
Yeah. Well, we often grow, and the thing is with growth is because you were mentioning with the logistics of Pride earlier, it takes a lot of work. These things take a lot of work too, and so it's so easy to just lose yourself and be like, oh, we can just grow and grow. But at the end of the day, we are people, and we can burn out, and we can get overwhelmed. So a lot of times, I'll have to curb our enthusiasm of sorts and be like, guys, we can expand to 7 places. We can do this event and that event, but we're gonna get burnt out. Like this summer, we did every month event, and I'm like, we need a break. We have one in November. Then after that, we need a couple months because you can grow and grow and grow, but unfortunately, your time doesn't grow. Your energy doesn't always grow. Still, that's suffering from success, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess the last question for today is how important is it for people to support local artists?
Incredibly. I think every place, whether it be, I don't know, Scranton or Boise, like any random place, has a plethora of creativity. And I feel like it often goes under the radar, or it's never seen at all. And people are inherently very creative if they give themselves the chance to express it. Some more than others, obviously. But we all have a chance to make art and to better our community and to improve our bonds. And you can often focus on the mainstream, but your story may not always be told there. There's going to be some biases, and for us local small artists, we have some of the most queerest stuff that you're not going to see like on your mainstream streaming channels or what have you. So I don't know, it's support your local artists because the diversity of art is always worth having. Yeah.
And the only thing I would add to that is every dollar you invest in a local artist stays in the community.
Or it goes to my landlord.
That's fair. That's a different conversation altogether.
But you are helping a queer person
Stay in their home.
stay in their home. So, abolish landlord. It was a pleasure.